thought we talk about writing or illustrating a children's book. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it's something I always thought about. I've never done it, so I'm only going, this chat is just about stuff I've researched and not done firsthand. But it's something I had always thought would be so much fun to do, especially, when you've got your kids of your own and you're reading them some children's books, and some can be quite questionable illustration wise, and you sort of think, I could do this. But I know there's a lot more to it than that, especially when it comes to telling a story through the illustration. And we're always talking about telling a story through your artwork, but illustration in a children's book is next level, isn't it? Because you have to make it very obvious what the story is, because a lot of times the words are only part of it. The illustrations actually make up a huge part. Oh, Julie, it was always a dream for you too. I don't know what it is. It's just something I always thought would be so fun. And really get your creative brain going, wouldn't it? But again, it's like anything else. It's like having to put yourself out there to be able to do that, and put your work out there for criticism, which is always hard. So that's what I thought I'd go through, and we'll talk about just some ways to maybe start down that path if that's what you want. I know I illustrated my first book, my one and only book, in high school. And oh, hi Jenny. I think it's your first life right from the start. Awesome. So in high school we had, I think it was English class, and we had to pair up, and I think it was only grade 8 or 9, and we paired up. One wrote the story and one did the illustrations. And it was awesome because my best friend in high school, she was really good at writing and in English and everything. And of course, I was into the art as always. So we paired up. She wrote the story. I did the drawings. I can't even remember. She said to me a few years ago, she found the book that we made, which I thought was awesome that she'd kept it. I think it was something to do with robots and aliens or something. I don't know. And we actually won. We won first. I don't even, oh, it must have been, it was obviously a competition that our teacher had put us up for or had entered it in, and we won it. And it was just, yeah, it was so much fun to do. But that was my one and only experience with illustrating a storybook. But it's just something that I've always thought would be really cool. But I'm going to talk about ways to sort of get started to go into the professional field of writing, of illustrating storybooks. But this can also relate to like main parts of this can relate to if you just want to create books for your own kids or grandkids. You might not want to go down the road of becoming a professional illustrator. But you might just want to know how to go about creating a book for your own kids. Okay. So but we'll talk about traps that some people end up getting into, especially if they start to self-publish and that, which I would never recommend that, I don't think. All right, so of course, why would some artists be interested in writing a children's book? So of course, like I touched on, just that creative expression, it is next level. Like I said, we talk about telling a story in our paintings, but trying to create a scene from just one sentence or a few words really has to have you thinking and getting right into your creative expression. And you have to sort of bring that to life through illustration. So and you want it to be appealing to kids, of course, because that's your market. So yeah, it's not just, there's a lot of work in learning how to create illustrations that are going to work in a book and tell a story. So we're not going to just straight away create a picture, send it off and get it published. It's going to take a few years to get good at it, I think. So another reason can be to expand your audience if you are looking at more professionally. If you want to target a certain market with your art, maybe targeted to, maybe you do. I see a lot of this on Etsy. Some artists target their paintings to children, like home decor, so children's rooms, baby rooms, so they're drawing baby animals, all of that sort of stuff. So if you have an audience of younger people or young mums and that, then that could help to expand your audience if you have a children's book to go along with all the rest of the stuff you're doing. For me, I suppose it could. My audience is more retired women and grandmothers, so of course that probably could also expand my range if I sort of created a children's book, but then targeted the marketing towards grandparents for their grandchildren, sort of thing. So you might want to just create it for your own grandkids or kids, like I said, for a keepsake. That's probably where I would start, just creating something. So I think it's always good to have an end goal in mind. So I've got grandkids, of course, and they love coming here to the farm. So I think I could create, a book. This is like writing and illustrating a book, say Harper and Frankie visit the farm or something, and base it on that. And at least that gives me a starting point. So you could think about what's going on in your life that could give you an idea. And of course, it's another way to earn money if you want to go down that route of professionally sort of publishing or trying to find a publisher, finding an agent, selling the books, all the rest of it. Okay, so there's probably a million other reasons why artists might want to get into picture book illustration as well, but they're sort of a few. All right, so I've got here different steps that we can go through, and then I'm going to share my screen in a few places as well. So I think firstly is learning the basics. So you need to learn to draw. So you need to improve your drawing skills, your color theory, of course. Color, we all know, can really tell, give off emotions, can't it? So, if you use a lot of blues, it's going to be, if you want a cooler, say part of the scene is a rainy, cold day, then you're going to use a lot of cool colors in that. The color plays a big role in sort of storytelling as well. And then, of course, character design. You need to improve your character design. So, and in that, you need to not be able to just draw a person or an animal or however you want. You need to give it expression. So character design is probably one of the biggest things. So years ago, I found a book I had been playing with. I was just doing a free sort of thing online about um, picture book telling and character design, and I had to come up with it was the character was called Florence Fox, and I drew a lamb, but I just wanted to sort of share so you can see how I've tried to create different expressions and played around with like how the body would look on her as well. If she's happy, sad, all the rest of it. So just a little book like this, like it's just a sketchbook going through and playing and experimenting, and like this isn't mine. I stuck these in here. So these are, just using different expressions of the eyes with the eyebrows, especially can change the appearance of whether someone is happy or sad or angry. But you can get a lot of that sort of stuff online for free. So just look up character expressions and try practicing and working on. So pick even just a human face, a kid's face maybe, and try drawing it in different with different expressions like, and you'll find just adjusting eyebrows can really make a huge difference. And if you're turning a animal into a character, usually they need to have a human traits, of course, to make them more, I don't know, more friendly, more approachable for children, all of that. So, like usually, like I had that sheep sort of standing up, so working on how the arms would sit and how the body would be if they're standing up and walking around like a human, and also their facial features. So making the eyes more forward, sheep's eyes are on the side of the head, so bring them forward, make them bigger. Making them bigger makes them appear cuter. All of that sort of stuff. So definitely character design and working on expressions is probably one of the biggest things I think in creating illustrations for children's picture books. So that is something I would definitely start with. And like I said, it can all be for free. Just get on YouTube's a wealth of knowledge, of course. Google expressions, and just you'll see there'll be lots of pictures come up like that one I stuck in my book, and just practice trying to draw things like that. Okay. And then also the other part is understand your audience. So research what appeals to children at different age levels. Okay. So I don't know if you and look at some children's books, of course, and most of us have, if we've got kids or grandkids, we've probably still got books lying around. So if you have a look, the books that appeal to a 1-year-old are completely different to those that appeal to a 5-year-old. So you also need to figure out who your audience is. So the younger storybooks are more about the picture and very basic shapes. Whereas as they get older, the images become a lot more detailed. So like you'll see a young children's book might only have a picture of a car maybe, or a child on a bike or something, and not really any background or anything. Whereas as they get older, there's more story to be told. So your illustration is going to have a background, and it'll have the children, like the child on the bike in a situation. They'll be at the park, or they'll be in a city, or wherever they are. Okay, so work out who you want to target, who your audience is. So, and that can also be your own kids or grandkids. So if your grandkids are 3, then look at like books that are made for 3-year-olds. So do some research, okay, and understand the audience. All right, I'm just checking comments as I'm going. Okay, so of course, regular practice. So you need to, I would say, if you're really serious, just like with a lot of you guys in my membership anyway, and we all try and set time aside every single week. Some of us manage to do it every day, some are every week, but I wouldn't let it go more than a week. Set time aside to practice. Okay, so you could practice. So if you're setting time aside just to draw your art, like I do, but if you really were interested in doing this, then maybe set an extra half an hour a day, or an hour a week aside just to practice your storytelling skills and character design and just your drawing skills. Because all of this is you need to practice sketching, of course, because a lot of this is coming straight from you. We're not really tracing or using outlines. We don't have reference images to create from. Like you'll have reference images, say if you were doing a lamb and you wanted it to be humanized, then you can of course go and get reference images of sheep and lambs, but you're going to turn them into a more, you're going to characterize them, I suppose. So you will be using reference images, but of course, you're still going to have to be getting better and better at sketching and creating the character yourself. And you'll find the more you do it, the more you'll know that character, and you need to be able to have it in different positions, so not just straight on either. So you need to be able to draw it sitting down, standing sideways, looking from behind. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot to go into practicing all of this, but it's worth it in the end, because you'll end up building a portfolio, which we'll get to that as well. So definitely sketch from life, go and sit outside, go and look at the animals, or if you have kids, if you want to sketch the kids as well. And you need to really look at their movements too. Okay, how the bodies work and how they move. Okay, so yeah, but that even not just storybook illustrating, just art in general, you should be doing that, trying to do some sketching, like go to the zoo and do sketching, or just go to your local park or go outside and do sketching, because it will just make you a better artist all round. Okay. All right. I talked about expressions. So expressions are really important. So practice expressions on a character's face. And of course, the expressions are what conveys the story as well. You know, if you need to say that the child is very sad, you don't want them just standing with the same expression on their face throughout, or a happy expression when it's supposed to be a sad expression, or vice versa. Okay, so expression's important too. Okay, so you're going out and you're going to sketch and look at movement and all of that, and then you're also going to sit and sketch different expressions. Okay, and then you can also experiment with different styles. So of course, again, when you look through a lot of picture books, there's usually, you can see the artist style coming through, unless like I said, there's a lot of AI starting to creep in. But if it's a hand draw, people, I think now, because digital has taken over a lot in illustration, because it's just easier. But sometimes I think seeing a picture book with beautiful hand-drawn illustrations is it's not the norm anymore. So it's a bit like mail. We all love getting mail now because it's very rare. We usually get emails. So I think to see a beautifully drawn picture book now is like higher than just a lot of digital stuff. Although not so much digital, because digital can look hand drawn, but yeah, you don't, and what I'm trying to get at, I suppose, is you don't need to be a digital artist to be able to illustrate a picture book. Okay, because you can scan your work and send it in, and I think I do believe it gives a nicer feel to it. But I know, so there's some amazing digital artists that can make it look totally hand drawn, but yeah, so but definitely experiment with styles, as in mediums as well. So when you look at children's picture books, anything goes. You never know what a kid's going to like. Sometimes I'll look at one and go, oh my God, and they might be their favorite book, but I think they could have drawn it themselves. And I think sometimes that appeals to them more, is they can relate better if it looks like something they could have drawn. So but also the mediums, like I said, pastel's probably not the greatest medium to be creating a picture book with. I'd probably go more acrylic or watercolor if I was to do that. What's that one? I can't even remember it now. There's a really well-known storybook, and it is just simple lines. I think it's done in black ink. But it's just absolutely beautiful. But the story, the writing is probably what tells the story more in that one. Yeah, I can't remember it. It's quite amazing. But yeah, like I said, just research. So yeah, just study existing books, look at what are popular. So analyze some popular children's books and understand what you think makes them successful. So their style, the pace, the narrative, the interplay between text and images. So it's like anything, when we're not focused on it, we've all just read 1,000 children's books, but we haven't dissected them. Whereas if you look at a picture book from an illustrator's point of view, if it's something you're interested in, then you can start to really dissect it and figure out how they've worded. Like, there might only be one sentence, but the image tells the story. Like, it has all the landscape in it, it has all a bit of foreshadowing in it, and all of that sort of stuff that goes into making a movie as well. So, but then it could be the opposite. It could be the text, the narrative that is the most important, and the image might only be quite simple. But yeah, I would study ones that are really popular, and figure out why, and then also look at how much text per image, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it depends. The ones I always thought I loved as a kid were the ones that had the best images and only a few words, because some don't need many words. So, and that illustration, if it's good, it dives right into the story and adds so much to the sentence. So you don't want to draw, like, say, if you're sometimes, okay, we're talking about just starting, so sometimes you got to create your own words as well. But when you go into it professionally, you're given the word. So an author and an illustrator work separately. Some you'll see, go and look at some children's books. Some are written and illustrated by one person, but 9 times out of 10, the publishing houses have a list of illustrators that they use. They get the text in from an author, and they will match up who they think, which illustrator will suit that text. So you're then sent the text, and you have to come up with the illustration to suit that text. So you don't want to be drawing exactly what the words say. All right. You want to have a really great image that conveys what the word's saying, but adds to it. Okay, and makes it because kids love the pictures, don't they? So all right. And of course you can keep up with the industry trends. So what's happening in the kids book market. So it's good to immerse yourself in all of that, like going to a children's book fair, joining industry groups, which I'll talk about one a bit later. Okay, Jocelyn, write or illustrate what appeals to you. I've already written an illustrated children's book. Research self-publishing. It's fun almost. Yeah, that's awesome, Jocelyn. Yeah, I think it would be so much fun to do. Self-publishing, I think, would be a bit scary, depending how much. I know you could probably self-publish and just make a few copies, but I've heard of people self-publishing and creating a lot of copies, and they've still got thousands of copies sitting in their office. So yeah, there's pitfalls to both, I suppose. All right. Okay, so once you've done all of that practice, and you've studied how children books are, and you're getting more confident with your drawing skills and all of that, you want to start building a portfolio. Okay, because to pitch to a publisher, you need a portfolio of work. So I would start small and create single illustrations that tell a story. So just consider illustrating like a common scene that just has children or animals in it. And then as you get better, you can move on to doing complete illustrations of a whole scene or a short story. So you can a good way is, you could, if you don't want to come up with a sentence, just Google short sentences for kids or kids books or something, and you'll probably I'm trying to think. There's probably a storybook challenge. You know how like there's Inktober and there's all these drawing challenges. There's probably one out there for storybooks. Um, and what it would be is they'll give you a sentence and you've got to try and draw that sentence. So that's where I think I would try and do something. Try and look, let's search up some challenges. I'll see if I can find one. I'm going to write a note. Because that, I think, if, once a week you had a new sentence that you could try drawing from and try and create that scene, that would be a really cool way to not only try and get better at telling the story, but also it would be similar to if you were working for a publisher and they just gave you the story. Okay, so it's not something you are familiar with, it's something you have to work from scratch with. So in your portfolio, so yeah, you want to showcase just simple illustrations, like different expressions that you can draw, like humans, robots, animals, all of that. But then also start to expand and show that you can illustrate a whole scene or a whole double page spread or a few sentences in a book. So yeah, just to get started, you have to have this. If you've already created a storybook and you've had it published, that's pretty much you're laughing because you've got that to show. But to get started, you've got to show a whole variety in the subject, the theme, age appropriateness, and emotions, of course. Okay. Who else? It's got anything to do with bodily functions is always hit with kindergarten. One of their favorites is all about some belly fluff. Exactly. So what appeals to kids is not necessarily what appeals to us. So Di being a kindergarten, if you're a teacher and you work with young kids, then you would be off to a great start because you already know which were their favorite. Yeah, wasn't there a book, something to do with farting? And that one was a huge, huge success as well. Or there was one to do with bums or something. I don't know. Anyway, kids are funny. So yeah, if you around kids a lot, or even if you have grandkids, ask them what they like, find out what their favorite books are. All right. So once you've got your portfolio, then of course you want to present it professionally. This can also be carried across to surface pattern design. So if you want to design for fabric, wallpaper, all of that, like gift wrap, all of that wonderful stuff that us artists have open to us if we want to go down that path. Doing a professional portfolio is important for that as well because you're pitching fabric companies and that with it. They need to see your work. But nowadays, a digital portfolio is a good way to go, which I was going to just share my screen and show you a really simple one that you can create a digital portfolio on. If you have a website, of course, I don't know, I mess this up every time. If you have a website, then I would just go straight and create a separate page on my website to share like just have it as a portfolio page. It can be a hidden link that you only have it so that you share that link to potential clients. So you could have a portfolio page that is just surface pattern design and fabric. You could have another one that is all children's book illustration. And then you just send the link to whoever, like if you're pitching a fabric company, then you send the link to your fabric portfolio. If you're pitching to a publisher, then you send the link to your children's book illustration. Okay. But this is Adobe Portfolio. I haven't used it, but from what I can see on here, it's pretty, I think it's free and it looks pretty easy to use. So you just have portfolio, an about, and a contact. This is someone's here that I think it's a template. Yeah, so it's a theme. So you could use this. And then you click on, so each one of these is a different series of paintings. So this chimp tea, so they've just written a little bit about it, and it was made to go on a t-shirt. So they've got, that's their portfolio there of that page. Then maybe this one, characters and stuff. So this is all some characters that they draw. So, you know, it's, but as you can imagine, if you're a publisher, this is what you want to see. You can see their images super clear. And you get a guess, you get a style, you can see her work. So you know, all right, if I have some picture book that I need these crazy monsters, then she's the go-to person to go and see. There's this one here as well. Martin, let me just see if I can't go back. Okay, again, Adobe Portfolio. And this is, he's one again, it's just like you got, it's just very simple. There's a contact page, an about page, and your portfolio work. So this is his, what did I see here? No. So he's, was it this one? Maybe it was this one. He's been featured in magazines. So this is his style of work. And he also, there we go, he has a picture showing that it's in the magazine. Okay. So if you already had a picture book be up your sleeve, you could have that in there. But what I'm getting at is this is the stuff that whoever you're pitching to, they don't want to go to a whole website with a million pages, like, and tags and all of that to go to. Like, I know my website, I have to try and simplify it, because if I send you to my website, you have no idea where to go to find anything. Okay, there's like all different pages you can go to. Whereas a portfolio, you don't want them to be directed anywhere else other than just on your portfolio. So that's why that Adobe Portfolio, let me, I'll write it down in the chat. Adobe Portfolio. I think I don't know if that was, I don't know if it's just .com, but just, oh yeah, it is. So, you know, you want it very simple. So that's why it's just got the artwork front and center. And then it's just got an about. So just a very small about you, and then contact. That's all you want in a portfolio. So your art is front and center. Okay, so that's a good one. I think it's free, but it's definitely worth having a look. So check that out. And yeah, you'll notice there wasn't all different tabs everywhere for other things to look at. So a digital portfolio like that, I think, is probably the best. You could make a physical one and send it off, like a physical one that you can take with you for meetings and interviews, or and it needs to be professionally bound and presents beautifully. I do know of a service pattern designer. She used to send her portfolios like that off to different fabric companies, and because she was one of few sending a physical portfolio, it was sort of seen, I suppose, more, but there was so much cost involved in that. So it's something you've got to think about yourself. But I think a digital one is the way to go. But if you feel you really want, if you had interviews or meetings, then I would definitely take a physical one. But yeah, so. But yes, there's thousands out there, and you're like a grain of sand in on the beach compared to like people pitching to these companies. So you've got to be unique. You've got to be good at what you're doing, and make sure your work is a bit unique as well. They don't want to see the same thing over and over again. Okay. So of course we also want to get feedback. Share your work with, if you don't want to share it on social media, you could share it if you have like a private group like the Creative Barn. You're of course welcome to share in there, like a safe closed group, or share it with your just friends. But you do want feedback, so you don't want to share it with people that are just going to say, "Oh, that's amazing," like your mum, unless your mum's brutal. But you want to share it with someone who will give you honest feedback as well. And then, of course, take the feedback and improve. So, oh, here we go, guys. Got the day. Oh, yeah, the day my bum went psycho. Yes, that's the one I was thinking of, Di. All right. Okay, we've shared that screen. Okay, so you've got your portfolio, like you've done your practice, you've put in your work, the hours, you got your portfolio, you think it looks amazing, you've improved from feedback, then you want to start promoting, don't you? So you can get on like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all of those, engage with that audience. So start like your Pinterest boards, start looking for children's books, engage with that, like writers, other professionals in that field, go to industry events like book fairs, go to workshops, conferences. You want to network with publishers and authors and other illustrators, especially if you know any as well. You could collaborate, reach out to writers as well, other new writers or authors that are just starting out. Maybe you could make a good match as well. And one of the best places to start is, let me find it here. Let's share this screen once more. I don't know if they're Australian or global. No, it's global. Yep. I think they call it Squibby. So it's the hold on, I've got what it's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. Okay, so if you're really serious, I would start here, check it out, be a part of it. You'll find they'll have conferences, there'll be awards, it'll really immerse you in the children's picture book writing. Look, they even have grants. They have a blog, they have a podcast, they have a YouTube. Okay. But yeah, definitely Squibby. I don't know if that's how you say it. Is definitely where I would start. Okay, so once you put in your hardware, although you could even get on here right now and just check it out. It might give you some inspiration. Sorry, I'm gonna put their website in the chat as well. Yeah, so you probably get a lot of inspiration actually. And that might be a good place to start like researching books. Okay. So I wanted to just show you. So of course, yeah, I said about marketing. So once you sort of think you're really ready, then you can contact publishers and authors and offer your illustration services. So I start with some small publishers. I do have a list here. And independent authors who are more likely to consider working with an new illustrator. There are platforms like freelance platforms, like there is Freelancer, Upwork, and Fiverr. But I was on Fiverr and was checking it out, and it wasn't good. There was a lot of, actually, let me share my screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go here, share. So I don't even know if I would even bother with this. Okay, this is Fiverr. Now, as you can see, a lot of the work is quite similar in that I feel there's a lot of AI generation, especially these sort here, that look like Pixar or something has created. Some of these people, and like $17, you know, you're not doing it for $7. There was someone on here for $9. And it's because they type your sentence in AI. They're good at AI. Type the sentence in and it spits out the images. Okay. So I really don't know that I would. Well, first of all, you don't want to be in competition at these prices. You know, this price here is more realistic, $9,000, not $17 or $9. Okay, so I don't think I would even go down that route because you're having to compete with that sort of thing. So this is why I feel creating your own art, like hand-drawn art, is where you will stand out nowadays. You know, years ago, not so much, but nowadays the hand-drawn stuff is not as common. So I think that's where you would stand out more, especially when you're pitching to different publishers and stuff. So I think I would, yeah, I probably don't know that I'd go down the whole freelance thing unless you could find it competitive with maybe not on Fiverr. Freelance is another one that might be all right. But it's a hard way to find work, honestly. It's so competitive. Whereas I think the direct outreach to publishers, or like I said, trying to work with an author that's up and coming as well. So, and of course you can always go and do a course. But I would, yeah, I don't know that you need to do a course on it. I think you've just got to put in the hours and work, you know, like I said, do a challenge, get some sentences, work on just your own projects and grow that way as an artist. Okay, so I wanted to show you there's this program that you can create a mock-up book that was free that I thought could be fun. Let me see if I can share this. Yep. Share. Okay. It's called Bookwrite. Okay. You've got to download it. So, all right, I have Adobe InDesign, which is a program for creating books. Okay. We're talking digital here. But this could also be a way to do a mock-up of the book and getting your words in the right place and giving yourself ideas, and then you can then go and create the paintings for it. But this one is free. You've just got to download it. It's an actual program. It's called Bookwrite by Blurb. I'll put the link in there as well. So I've downloaded everything and I've now opened it up. And I've told it I wanted, right when you first open it, ask what layout you want. So, and of course, these layouts are all kind of the right size for books, you know, to create a book. Usually they have to be a certain, what's that saying? Changing. Oh, that will change my book format. But yeah, so they have to be a certain size. They're usually like 32 pages or whatever they are here. This is a square one I've put up. So on the left here, you can see you've got that's the inside cover. It says to leave blank. You can do the front cover and back cover, and then you can come into your pages and you can upload photos. But well, let's go to layouts, and you'll see I might decide the very first page I want a full image. Okay. And then the second page, I might want a small image and a bit of text. Okay, but say on then the third page, and this is all going to be dependent on what you're writing for, but I might want a double page full spread, or maybe the next page here, I like this one that has a couple of images and just a small bit of text. Okay, so you go through and you can work out your layout, which I thought was awesome. And then you just go back over to photos and we can upload let's look at, I have nothing prepared, but let's just get some images here. Let's get the cockatoo in there. No, I'll place it myself. Okay, and just drag and drop. And then I could probably then go, right, I want some text here. So we can go to text. So this could be a children's book. It could even be your own portfolio book if that's what you want, or, you know, a holiday book, all the rest of it. No, hold on. I've got to figure out how to do text. Text files. No. Text. Place text. Aha, there we go. Place text. Okay. And then obviously you type the text somehow. Click to add text. There we go. So yeah. All right. And you can adjust the text height, size, all the rest of it there. So it is pretty simple to use. This is the first time I've been on here. So, you know, so again, click to add text, click to add text, drag an image. So you can work out, especially if you've already got the words of what you want to write, then let me just come back out of there. Then you can, of course, I think it's a great tool for laying out where you want everything to sort of be positioned. And then you can go from there. Hold on, I'll just type it in. It's book write by blurb. Okay, so if you just look up that, don't have the actual link for it, but if you just Google book write by blurb, that'll bring you to that. So that's something you can have a play with. Then, of course, if you want to do digital books, which your book could be digital or physical, then you could go to Kindle Direct Publishing. And that's a way to upload and sell your books online. So, you know, where is it? My ultimate, I don't know where it is. Oh, is that it? Right. Anyway, I've lost it. It's somewhere around here. My ultimate planner for artists that I did for Black Friday. That's a PDF. So I could go into Kindle Direct Publishing, upload that into there, have it for sale for like $5. And it's just on the Kindle platform then for sale. And you can drive traffic to it, or someone might stumble across it. But it's a way that you can have it online that people could buy it and download it. And that's free. I think they keep a percentage. Okay, now when we were talking about, like, so you might want to, when you're working on or your practice and getting better at it all, you might then want to come up with a story. So a great way, if you can't think of something, is to use an old story. So hang on, I did have a couple of slides here. Okay, these were some ideas of how to come up with a story. So rewrite an existing story, which we'll go into that. So you could come up with an unexpected solution to a mainstream problem. So an example here that was given from writing stories. I don't know where I got it from, but it's from Writing Stories, who I think they're a website. But come up with an unexpected solution to a mainstream problem. So their example was, little kids don't like to share. What if a kid caught the moon and didn't want to share it? Okay, so that's like an unexpected story to a mainstream problem. So the mainstream problem was kids don't like share, but who'd have thought that he could catch the moon and not share it? So pay attention to your own life and your own emotions. So what are your fears and what scares you the most? So you could maybe come up with a story there. Or a big unexpected questions like why haven't we heard from aliens? What if they are here and we don't even know it? But the main one that I think could be good and does get used all the time is using an older story. So, for example, my good old Aesop Fable book here. If it's old enough, they're in the public domain. Okay, so the public domain definition is works in the public domain are those whose intellectual property rights have expired, been forfeited, or are inapplicable. So for most works, this means they were published over 70 years ago, although that time frame can depend. Okay, so these stories can be rewritten, can be adapted. The Aesop fables are over 100 years, I think. So you can do whatever you want with them. Even like Goldilocks and Three Bears, Three Little Pigs, all of those, they're public domain as well. So that's why you see a lot of people rewrite those stories. Like here, hold on, I've lost where I was. Okay, so yeah, so they can be sold without facing copyright issues. So once the work's in the public domain, anyone can use it without needing permission from the previous author or the publisher, and you can adapt and change it or build upon it in any way you want. So many authors and illustrators take public domain stories and rework them with a unique twist. So either by changing the setting or altering the narrative, updating the language for modern readers, or creating new illustrations. So, you've probably seen them. You've probably seen stories that you sort of can't quite place because it's totally different, but the basis of it is the same. So, they like the Three Little Pigs and all of those. So you can do what you want with them. So you're free to sell your adaptations of public domain work. So you can publish them as books, you can use them in apps, you can create audio books or any other form of media. So while the original work is free to use, so if you rewrote Goldilocks and Three Bears totally for you, that original story is free to use, but then any extra content that you've created, such as additional text or new illustrations, that's your own copyrighted material. So someone else can't come, even though your story is from public domain, what you've turned it into is original and copyrighted, so they can't use your contributions without your permission. Okay, so you don't have to be worried about because you've rewritten a public domain story that anyone can take your stuff, but they can't. Okay, but always make sure they are in the public domain status. So, and every country can be different. So most works published before 1923 are in the public domain in the United States, but newer works may also be public if they were published without copyright notice or registration. So some places to check is, let me put this one down. Copy, paste, Project Gutenberg. You just have to Google some of these. Okay. So Project Gutenberg offers over 60,000 free ebooks. So it's all works that are in public domain. So if it's on Project Gutenberg, then it's usually public domain. You can Google Books can be a good one to look at publication date. What else have we got here? Internet Archive, free books, movies. This one is copy Internet Archive. And this one is a non-profit library of millions of free books, movies, software, music, websites, and more. So much like Project Gutenberg, many of the books available, they're already in public domain. Okay, so, but, you know, it's once you start to know, all right, we're writing children's books. So even the Aesop fables, I don't know that many people rewrite these. Not as popular as like Goldilocks and the Three Pigs and all of those, and Little Red Riding Hood, of course. I think Little Red Riding Hood has been rewritten 1,000 times. But you know, there's quite a few stories in here. They're short, so like the Town Mouse and Country Mouse, the text is only those 2 pages. So you could totally use that text, or you could rewrite it a bit to modernize it and turn it into a full book. Okay, and it would be yours. So it's a really good way if you're not into writing, then it's a great way to get started. And like, not right at the start, of course, you need to practice and get better at character design and all of that first, but it's a good way to maybe get started a bit further up and build up a portfolio on that. And yeah, so all right. So I'm nearly there, guys. All right, we're just going to talk about some publishers now. So once you're all ready, you got your portfolio, all the rest of it. I've got a few publishers here that you could probably submit to. Okay, they might not, you know, it's like anything you submit. It's like applying for a job. You know, you put in your application, you don't hear back. So every possibility you're not going to hear back. But you want publishers that will accept unsolicited manuscripts. Okay, a lot of publishers, they want you to have an agent and submit through that, but some of these occasionally will let you submit if you don't have an agent. Okay, and honestly, if you're starting out, you probably don't want to pay for an agent, but you know, you never know, it might be something you want. So Allen and Unwin, these are some Australian ones. One of Australia's largest independent publishers, known for its children books and young adults. So they have specific times when they accept unsolicited manuscripts. So you need to check their website for their details. Penguin, of course, we've probably all heard of Penguin Random House in Australia. I'm just putting their names in the chat. So it's a major player, of course, and they have a strong children's book section. So they typically only accept through an agent, but they will occasionally open for unsolicited books. Scholastic. Oh, it's slow here. Scholastic Australia. Mostly is by invitation, but they do again have periods where they will open it up. So it's really just a matter of keeping a track of their websites, you know. And usually a lot of times you go to their websites, scroll right to the bottom, and those few things in the bottom footer is where you'll probably find information about it. Well, it might have for authors and illustrators, and click on that and start to search through there, or it might have submitting work. Okay, it's usually found right at the bottom bar on most websites. Okay, so there are a couple of Australian ones, and then what do we got here? Candlewick Press International. Oh, wait on. Did I not send that one? Scholastic Paste. Candlewick. Candlewick is an independent publisher based in the US. So they're known for their children's books, and they accept unsolicited manuscripts at certain times. So again, check for their sort of deadlines and that. HarperCollins Publishers, which is huge. They have divisions all over the world. In the US, they require agented submissions, so you can't submit unless you have an agent, but their UK branch occasionally opens to unsolicited manuscripts. Same with Macmillan Children's Books. Their UK branch has open submission periods, okay, but nowhere else. All right, Chronicle books. So these are, you'll see the bigger ones like HarperCollins and that, yeah, usually want you to go through an agent, but the smaller ones like this Chronicle books as well, it's based in San Francisco. So it's known for its innovative and beautifully designed books. They accept they're open to unsolicited children's book manuscripts. Okay. And there's another one, Lee and Low books as well. But you just need to, again, get on Google, have a look around. And you might decide, if you start to get really good at it and you get great feedback and all the rest, it might be worth you getting an agent for that. But like I said, a lot of the big publishers, they have their go-to illustrators. So they're getting manuscripts. Different if you're doing, if you're writing, like illustrating and writing it yourself as a whole book. But if you're just an author, of course, you don't need to find an illustrator because you can put your work straight into the publishers and they'll usually match an illustrator to you. But if you can get in there and they'll then start to know your work and they'll keep you on file. And then if something comes in, they can let you know if it's something you'd be interested in. So, okay, so tips for submitting, of course, research thoroughly and make sure the publisher, it aligns with your book style and your theme. Because if you're pitching a certain style of book, like say if you're trying to pitch a children's book that is suited for 2-year-olds, but the publisher actually only does young adult novels, then of course they're not going to be interested. And they'll have submission guidelines, so make sure you follow those to a T, okay? And they'll often detail like how it needs to be formatted, what materials to send, and all the rest of it. And then, like I said, if you're trying to pitch to big international publishers, you're going to need to maybe get an agent. So check it all out. And then, like I said earlier, ebook submissions, like my planner. They don't have to be a children's book, of course, if you want to just create something digitally, and you just go to Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP. So it's the largest ebook retailer in the world, and it allows you to publish both ebooks and paperbacks for free, and it offers a wide reach across Amazon. So that's a good one. And you can, they pay a percent though, so your royalties, you can earn up to 70% on royalties depending on the book's price and the territory. Then there's Apple Books for authors. So Apple has its own platform for publishing ebooks, which we all know. We all have a Kindle or we have Apple Books, so we have both. I have both. So the distribution for the Apple Books, it reaches anyone that has an Apple device, because the books are, the Books app is on there when you buy it. And again, they pay a royalty of around 70%. And then there's Barnes and Noble's Press. And it allows authors to publish ebooks and print books and sell them on the Barnes and Noble website. And of course, they have a pretty big customer base and offers up to 65% in royalties on ebooks priced at $2.99 and above. Okay, so that's the end of my notes. So that's been a bit of a marathon. You might need to, if you are interested, watch the replay. I'll itemize it all in my blog post that I'll create from this. And yeah, but it's definitely, as artists, we're so lucky that there's so many fields we can go into if we want, and it can be for money or it can just be for fun and enjoyment. So I just thought every now and again, I thought I would just do a deeper dive into some different fields like that. So like I said, I always had it in the back of my head, I would love to create a children's book. Never have. Maybe I will one day. But yeah, it would be a lot of fun. And but there is a lot to it. It's not just about creating a like just sitting down and creating a children's book, because yeah, there's, like I said, you've got to start right at the start and get really good at that character development. And then, like anything, like selling just any art, you've got to put the work in and get it out there, all the rest of it. So I didn't touch on self-publishing because that is something that you can do, but it can be quite costly. You need to make sure you can sell them. Okay. So, all right. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat, and I'll try and go back through. There's so many there that I've shared links, not links. I just wrote them all down. So, all right. The day. Yep. Okay. I think I've answered anything that was in there. Thanks for sticking around. It was a bit longer than usual. I try to keep them for 45 minutes, but this one's just over an hour. So anyway, guys, hopefully that's been informative, and I might have inspired you a little bit if that's sort of where you want to go. And next week, of course, we're doing our draw along. So we're gonna, same time, Tuesday chat time. I'm thinking it could be 2 hours. Okay, but it will all be recorded and posted straight away afterwards. And I will also share the event. I can't share the event in here. If you go to my Facebook page or any of my groups, the event is in the top, and that's where it's in the featured section, and you'll get the download of the reference image, the line art, and the equipment list I'm going to be using. Okay, so I might go in and just refresh and share that around. I'll email it out to everyone as well. So, all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and yes, I'll see you next week for our draw.